LA 21 12670. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
Turns out I'm an hour early because all the clocks in here still say 11 o'clock. Has nobody been here since, dawn today?
They just haven't updated that link.
Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Handy Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, along with Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. About as busy a day as you can get in the world of sports, and the weekend that just passed. There are days where you go, okay, well, this is obviously what we want to talk about in this order and whatever. And there are days where you really have a lot of choices. So I could start a lot of different places today. I could start with the NCAA tournament. I could start with the men's or the women's. I could start with LSU baseball. I could start with the Pelicans were a winner last night. But NFL free agency, the tampering period started 1 minute and 20 seconds ago. So somebody's waiting for Aaron Rodgers to make a decision. As we speak right now, I do believe they're starting on time. Somewhere in the McNeese State Student Union Activity Center, or whatever the building is, they're handing out free chicken, and Will Wade is holding a press conference to be the new head coach at McNeese. Sure, we'll have some sound for that later on this afternoon or tomorrow. I've been to one of these things, okay, where Will Wade comes and introduces himself and hands out chicken. It was very successful at LSU.
I was in the Union that day, too.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A was good.
Right. Come out, meet the new basketball coach, have a free lunch. It's on us. Come and hang out. So the Ole Miss Rebels have made it official. They have hired Chris Beard. So the price of poker in the basketball version of the Southeastern Conference continues to go up. So all of those things. But when the New Orleans Saints sign a quarterback for the foreseeable future, that feels like it's important. And so Derek Carr's introduction over the weekend in New Orleans, I thought it went over extremely well. It's not terribly difficult to win the press conference. If you get to the press conference, it means somebody hired you or somebody signed you or somebody traded for you, and so they want you there. The farewell press conferences are much more terse. So it's not all that difficult to win these things, but I thought Carr did very well. And that plus the rest of the, I'm going to call it quarterback market over the weekend, and the gigantic trade that went down Friday afternoon between Chicago and Carolina kind of gives us a little bit of perspective on the price tag for Derek Carr and whether or not he's worth it. Now, why does Derek Carr want to come to the Saints? We've been through all this before, but, just briefly, he knows the coach. He's comfortable with the offensive system. This is a division that is ripe for winning. Stability within the organization, which is something he certainly didn't have with the Raiders either in Oakland or in Las Vegas, etc. But maybe the coup de grace was talking to Drew Brees. And when you speak quarterback, there's nobody to speak it with better than Drew Brees, and that turned out to have a big impact on Derek Carr.
And I had a free afternoon. He called me, and I just asked questions. Asked questions about the organization, asked questions about Mickey, Pete, the city, everything, the community, all that. And a lot of what he said, he answered a lot of questions for me. A lot of what he said is probably why I'm sitting here today. When someone you respect so much that you've competed against, and he's one of, I'm not coming here trying to be Drew Brees. That man is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm coming here to be Derek Carr, and I have so much respect for him, though.
Mostly just don't call it New Orleans or worse yet, New Orleans. You'll be fine. So we got an idea of what the price tag is on Derek Carr from the free agent signings last week of Daniel Jones and Geno Smith, and they're all within shouting distance of each other. With the Carolina Panthers trade with Chicago to get, I'm not sure, whichever quarterback they like, we've got an idea at what might have been had the Saints gone in another direction. So all of you who hate the Derek Carr signing, listen up. Here's your platform. If you go back and you take this over a 2-year period, the moves that the Saints made to acquire a quarterback and the most talent they can get, and the moves that the Carolina Panthers made and to get a quarterback and the most talent they could get, this is what you have. The Saints, in making the trade with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, got Chris Olave, who they would not have gotten had they not made the trade. Trevor Penning, who I believe they would have gotten even if they had not made the trade. If they stay put at 18, they could have taken Penning. He would have been there, and I believe he would have been the choice. And now you sign Derek Carr. You also have all of your draft picks, save next year's number 2, still on the books. And this year's number 1, of course, turned into Olave. Essentially, turned into Olave. So you still got, and you threw a 3 and a 7 in last year, but let's just keep this to the really pertinent draft choices. If you don't make the trade, okay, you get Penning but not Olave. You keep the 3 and the 7 last year. You keep next year's number 2, and you get the rights to the 10th pick this year. This is where it gets interesting. The 10th pick is essentially the same pick that the Carolina Panthers traded. They traded number 9. They traded their first this year. They traded a 2 this year. They traded a top wide receiver, somewhere between 10 and 20 in the league is where DJ Moore is, and a first-round pick in next year's draft. So what would this be for the equivalent for the Saints? They don't have a DJ Moore. They don't. If Chris Olave is not part of the conversation, they don't have a DJ Moore. So I took what I consider the closest thing to the equivalent of DJ Moore on the Saints team. I tried to take somebody that was exactly his age and who was a top 5 player on the Saints. And I came up with Marshawn Lattimore, who is 26 years old and is clearly one of the top 5 players on the Saints roster. So I'm going to steal one from the boys in the morning when they used to play Would You Rather. Would you rather have Chris Olave, Trevor Penning, Derek Carr, keep next year's number 1 and this year's number 2? Or would you rather have Trevor Penning, because they would have gotten him last year anyway, your 3rd and 7th picks last year, your 2 next year, but not your 1 next year, to move up to the number 1 pick in the draft to take, again, I don't know who. And you will be without Marshawn Lattimore. I'm sorry. I think the Saints have done this way better than the Panthers. Now, neither one of them may be perfect. I'm not saying either one of these teams is going to end up in the Super Bowl. But if you give me my choice between keeping this boatload of draft picks that the Panthers had to use to give up, to move up, one of their best players, because Carolina now, for whatever quarterback they draft, has the worst wide receivers in the NFL by a lot without DJ Moore, and all of the draft picks. Now, if all of the draft picks turn out to be wasted, well, then who knows? Now, the biggest thing to me is the quarterback. This is classic Monty Hall, let's make a deal. Would you like the $500 in cash, or would you like to go for what's behind door number 2? Door number 2 might be a brand new car, or it might be a pile of manure. I don't know. I know $500 is $500. And if I take the $500 and I go buy nice things, it'll be nice things because I bought them with the $500. What's behind the door may be great, may be terrible. If it were me and I were Carolina, I would take C.J. Stroud. Before we get real hip deep into draft season in April, let me just tell you, of the quarterbacks that are available, I would take C.J. Stroud first. He provides, to me, of the 4 quarterbacks that are available, and all may go not just in the top 10, but in the top 5, he provides the clearest path to high floor with high ceiling. I think Anthony Richardson has a very high ceiling potentially, but he has a very low floor. And I feel the same way about Will Levis, and I feel the same way about Bryce Young. I feel that way about Bryce Young not because of his ability, but because of his size. They can talk all they want about, hey, listen, Drew Brees did it in the league for a long time, and so did Fran Tarkenton, and so did Doug Flutie, and that's all fine and good. For every one of those 6 foot or under quarterbacks that made it, the game's different now. Tell it to Tua, okay? Because he spent most of the season getting knocked around like a, tackling dummy. Not his fault that he's 5 foot, Tua's about 6 foot, but it's not Bryce Young's fault that he's 5'10". But if I got the number 1 pick in the draft, I don't want to take a 5'10" quarterback. The Arizona Cardinals took a 5'10" quarterback. They're still jostling with him. The Cleveland Browns took a 6 foot quarterback. They've already jettisoned him. I'm taking the bigger guy. C.J. Stroud had arguably the best game of, not really arguably, I think he had the best game of any of the 4 of them last year against Georgia. Georgia's got NFL players out the wazoo on defense. He lit them up, 4 touchdowns, 400 yards. Okay. Played at a high level, played at Ohio State. I'm not going to penalize him because the previous Ohio State quarterbacks didn't play in the NFL, as well as maybe their draft position would have indicated, with obviously Justin Fields still, in the developmental stages. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have Olave, Penning, Carr, keep a key player? I'm just using Marshawn Lattimore. Pick the one you like. And most of the rest of your draft choices. Or would you rather have Penning, not Olave, whatever would have happened with the rest of these picks, and moving up to take an unknown quarterback? And a lot of people will tell you that they would rather have the unknown quarterback. Is C.J. Stroud, I'm using C.J. Stroud because it's my show and that's the guy I like, okay? So is C.J. Stroud going to be a better quarterback or a worse quarterback than Derek Carr?
We have no idea right now.
We really don't, okay? I'm pretty sure I know who's going to be better next year. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Derek Carr, especially if C.J. Stroud goes to Carolina. Now, if he goes to Houston and they draft him a receiver at 12 and they keep Brandon Cooks and, they've got some decent players over there, a little bit different. If Carolina trades for DeAndre Hopkins, I may feel a little bit differently. Cardinals have got him on the block. But for the time being, for the foreseeable future, Carr is better. Now, 5 years from now, a 36-year-old Derek Carr may be on the verge of retirement or a backup somewhere or out of football, or he may have won a Super Bowl by then. I don't know. 5 years from now, C.J. Stroud's going to be entering his prime as a quarterback and may look like the next Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert or, Patrick Mahomes. Do you want what's here or do you want what's behind door number 2? For me, I can hear the argument either way. I would rather go with this, but it doesn't matter what I think or what you think. It matters what Mickey Loomis and Dennis Laucha and Dennis Allen and ultimately Gail Benson think. And this is the way the Saints do business. They don't draft quarterbacks high. They don't develop quarterbacks. They figure out who the best quarterback available is that they can go get, and they go get them. And sometimes it works out really well. They went and got Drew Brees. And sometimes you get a washed-up Kenny Stabler. Worked out pretty well with Jim Everett. I mean, Everett put up numbers. Team wasn't very good, but Everett put up numbers. Sometimes you get Richard Todd. This is just the way they do business. Like I said, you don't have to like it. You just have to, you have to accept it if you're going to be a Saints fan, that this is how they go about doing their business. Last thing I want to talk about is Michael Thomas, because the Derek Carr signing very much brings him back into the fold here, and we'll find out something for sure this week because there is a deadline. Carr talked to Michael Thomas.
Me and Mike, we've gotten close through this process and talking, and the first time I talked to him on the phone, I don't think he wanted me to get off the phone. I really enjoyed talking to him, and I told Mickey, I was like, you talk to Mike Thomas, and you feel like you two could go out there and face the world. I told my wife when I got off the phone, and she was like, why are you smiling? I was like, I love this guy. He's so competitive, and I think just the energy that he brings, it would be very exciting times to throw him the football for sure.
Let's call it Michael Thomas 3.0 if he ends up back with the Saints. Michael Thomas 1.0 was fabulous. He was among the best 2 or 3 receivers in football. He set records. Michael Thomas 2.0 couldn't stay on the field. For the last 3 years, he's been off the field way more than he's been on it. Guy's not too old to reinvent himself. I mean, he's 28 years old, so let's let's move forward here. And if they come to a contract extension, contract restructure would probably be a better way to put it. He comes back, he's healthy, and he looks like the Mike Thomas 1.0, then great. If he's the Michael Thomas 2.0, then this is the last stance. They will restructure it for this year, and if he spends 12 games on the injured list, they will cut him next offseason. And the contract will, I'm certain, if the Saints agree to it, will be structured in a manner in which Michael Thomas will be easily expendable after the season. Or, if you'd like to be positive about it, we'll try to be positive on this show. If you're positive about it, you load this thing up with incentives. So if he goes and catches another 149 passes, great, pay the man. No problem. But they're not going to pay him to stand on the sidelines anymore. I'm glad he's excited. I'm hopeful that this all works out. We'll take a break, come back. The tournament field is set, men's and the women's. By the way, Thursday and Friday, the show will take place from the sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi. Looking very much forward to going down there for the start of this year's games. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Another great experience for us at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge just a couple of weekends ago. Onto the Infinity lot for the Certified Pre-Owned program. Now, right now, they will be able to get you a quote within 15 minutes of whatever your vehicle is worth. And from that point, you can decide whether you want to keep it, whether you want to sell it to them outright, or whether you want to trade it in on another model. The Certified Pre-Owned program comes with so many benefits, not the least of which is the inspection that the vehicles have been through so that they are up to code. So much so that they're going to put a 6-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty on it. Your first year of maintenance is prepaid, and of course, you're going to get a complimentary vehicle while you are having your vehicle serviced. Transparency in pricing, the comfort level with which you can do business at Acura Infinity of Baton Rouge is why we have gone back time and time again, and you should too, on Airline Highway, Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022.
Hunt, join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, recapping the weekend at Alec Box Stadium, and where does the LSU basketball program go from here? Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
.104.5 ESPN is here with the $1 Million Bracket Challenge, powered by Acura Baton Rouge and Coors Light. Get your picks in now at 1045ESPN.com before the first game this Thursday. First place prize is $2,023 cash. If your bracket is perfect, you will win $1 million and a 3-year lease on a 2023 Acura Integra. For more information on prizes and to register, go to 1045ESPN.com.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tampering period started when we started this show today. Falcons have come to terms with David Onyemata, now former Saints defensive tackle, 3 years, $35 million. Onyemata from 18 to 20, I thought 2018 to 2020 was an outstanding player, highly disruptive, and just a real find for the Saints, for somebody that they didn't have to use a first-round draft pick on. But the last 2 years, starting with that suspension that he had to serve last year, his play has dropped off. He's still a good player. I don't feel like he is the player that he was back 18, 19, and 20. He's 30 years old. Like I said, still a productive player, but not what he was 3 years ago. So we'll see how that works out for Atlanta. Did the Falcons make it a point of this to just go get former Saints?
They want to be the Saints so bad. Fontenot's there as their GM. Now they're getting their players.
Well, and I get that. He knows the player. He's watched him. I'm thinking more in terms of, I don't know if I've ever been more upset than when I saw Morton Anderson play with the Falcons. It was upsetting to see Bobby Hebert play there. It was upsetting to see Joe Horn play there. It was really upsetting to see Morton Anderson play there. I don't know. I think you got a point, though. I think they really in their heart want to be the Saints. The brackets are out. I thought, I'm not going to go game by game here. The podcast today that'll drop later this afternoon is dedicated fully to a breakdown of the brackets. So you can pick that up later when it drops this afternoon, 1045ESPN.com. But by and large, I thought they got most of this stuff right. Could Kansas have been seeded ahead of Houston? They're both number one seed, so we're going to get down to Ferreton out on the line. Yeah, Kansas probably should have been. Should they have put Rutgers in instead of Nevada? I can make a case either way. Less of a case for Vanderbilt, even as well as they played down the stretch. But what struck me about this thing is how many really competitive games that we've got in the first round. I mean, some really terrific matchups, I think, for when you're trying to pick upsets. And in a lot of these cases, a number of these cases, the lower seed is the favorite in these things. But just some of the ones that caught my attention. I think Missouri and Utah State is a great first-round game. I think Creighton and NC State is fantastic. Memphis, who we watched yesterday, really handle the number one ranked team in the country, and Houston plays Florida Atlantic, who's won 31 games. I think that UL Lafayette and Tennessee is going to be interesting. I don't think the Cajuns win, but I certainly think that they keep it respectable. Love Michigan State and USC. Love Northwestern and Boise State. Love Arkansas and Illinois. But the best, Iowa and Auburn is another good game. But the game of the first round, I was really disappointed to see these two teams paired up against each other. It's Texas A&M and Penn State. A&M, there's a lot of bickering about Texas A&M and where they were seated. We've been talking about Texas A&M on the Game Time show for several weeks. They were going to be underseeded because of things that happened. And by the way, do I think they're better than a 7 seed? I do. But do I think they deserved a 7 seed? I do. Hear me out. the things that are knocking Texas A&M down, non-conference losses to teams with net ratings in the triple digits, all happened in November and December. What I've watched them do over the last 2 months is much more prevalent to me. But if I'm in that committee room, I can't erase November and December. It's not fair, okay? So are they deserving of the 7 seed? Yes. Are they playing better than a 7 seed? Absolutely. Penn State comes within an eyelash of what would have been one of the most miraculous comebacks yesterday. They're down 18 points, and they got the ball. They don't travel. They get a shot in the air to win that thing against Purdue yesterday. So I feel the same way about Penn State as I do about A&M. Are they a lot better than a 10 seed? Yes. Do they deserve to be ranked 10th? Yes. Seeded 10th? Yes, because, again, of things that happened a long time ago. A lot of that stuff we'll get to in the podcast today. Now, on the women's side, as expected, maybe a little bit of a surprise if you haven't been following what Kim Mulkey's been saying, but LSU a 3 seed. They will play Hawaii in the first game, in their first game coming up later this week on Friday. They will also have in this bracket Michigan at number 6 and UNLV at number 11. You realize UNLV's got the second most wins in the country behind South Carolina? If UNLV upsets Michigan, and I'm calling that an upset, maybe it's not, but I'm calling that an upset because Michigan's the 6th seed and Vegas is the 11th seed. If LSU and UNLV win, it's going to be 29-2 against 32-2. It's a hell of a second-round game, huh? I mean, maybe that's why Kim Mulkey chose to, yesterday after having a watch party, and that was really exciting, and here's the brackets, that's pretty exciting, and they're going to play a game at home, and that's terrific, and they're in the Greensboro regional, so that'll give more fans a chance to get there and see them on the second weekend if they make it there than had they been shipped to Seattle. And then Mulkey drops this.
I want y'all to understand the fans get excited, but sometimes they also lose perspective. They think we're supposed to go to a Final Four. Give me a break. Now give me a break. Can we? Yeah. Memphis beat Houston men today, right? That's why you play the game, but we're not supposed to be Final Four in year 2 here. We're just hoping to win one more in the playoffs and then let the chips fall where they may. So when you write about us, don't sit there and say, oh, you're a failure if you don't make it to the Final Four. Are you kidding me? I'm going to protect this program and these kids and say, are we better today than we were last year? Is recruiting better? Are we winning more at each level of the season? And our goal is to win 2. We have not won 2. We won 1 last year. And if we don't, you walk off that floor and go, whew, we played our hearts out. We gave it everything we had. That team just played better. We are on a fast track. And I think sometimes the fast track blinds the media and it blinds the fans on what we really should be achieving.
Damn, Coach, just bring the wet blanket, why don't you? That's the speech you give after you lose in the third round. I was really surprised to hear her downplaying the expectations that much. Saying, yeah, 2 games, that'd be good. That's the speech you give after. Far be it from me to question Kim Mulkey, my goodness, but I was just really surprised that she took such a Debbie Downer. To the how about, hey, look, we're excited to be, hosting the first round, and we got a great game coming up on Friday against Hawaii, and if we can get by that one, we're going to have a terrific opponent in week 2, and we're looking to go as far as we can go. I didn't expect you to get up there and say, we win 2 games, that's pretty good. And it is. I mean, from where they've come from the last 2 years, it is. But man, that was pretty subdued for her.
Yeah, the give me a break I thought was really aggressive.
I don't think anybody's going to call Kim Mulkey or LSU losers if they don't make it to the Final Four. And yes, they are ahead of schedule. I get all of that. But it was a watch party. If you saw, I wasn't there, but I mean, I saw the video and stuff. Taylor just had the video up there. It's a good bit of fans in there. Like every other watch party, when your name comes up on the screen, everybody goes, this is great, and the games are going to be here. I was just, and it bugged me because it's like maybe she sees what's coming. Maybe she's kind of softening up the ground, and she's like, you know what? Maybe we're fading a little bit as the season goes on. Maybe that second half against Tennessee has thrown up some warning flags to her. I don't know. I can't read her mind. I just was really surprised to see her taking such a subdued approach after they got a 3 seed. I mean, this was it's a pretty good year. It's the most games that they've ever won in the history of the program. I mean, I'm sure that somebody on that schedule. Okay, I get it, but they went through and won all but one of their games in the Southeastern Conference regular season. It's still the Southeastern Conference, right? I mean, they're not playing in the Mountain West or anything, right? I mean, they're not playing in the Big Sky. It's still a pretty good league. At any rate, the 2 seed in that portion of the bracket is Utah, and the 1 seed is Indiana. So, South Carolina is nowhere on your radar. UConn is nowhere on your radar. Iowa is nowhere on your radar. I mean, all of those teams are way somewhere else. You got Indiana and you got Utah. I think they can play with those teams. I don't know. I haven't watched Indiana play one time. Probably shouldn't say that. Hadn't watched Utah play one time, so I probably shouldn't say that. I've watched LSU play probably a dozen times. Pretty good, I thought. And then Coach Gloom and Doom had to go to the press conference with her wet blanket and say, "Hang on, we beat Hawaii and we beat Vegas or Michigan. That's good. We're going, we're good at that point." Nobody with any sense is going to call them a failure if they don't make the Final Four. If they make the second weekend and they get to an Elite Eight or even a Sweet 16 with a very competitive game against a number 2 seed, I think you're going to understand the program's on pretty good footing, and that with the players they've got coming back plus the players they've got next year coming in, that this is going to be a top 5 program next year. So I'm all fine with tampering expectations, but hey, man, look, can we be excited right now? I mean, this game's coming up this weekend. They should win. Yes. All right. Oh, Kim, little optimism, little positivity here. If coaches are funny. If everybody was saying, "Look, they stink, man, they're no good." If everybody was saying, they're 28-2, but I mean, look at that schedule. Southeastern Conference isn't any good. And the non-conference schedule was a joke. I mean, they'll be lucky to get by Hawaii. She'd get up there and she'd say, wait, we're 28. Put a little respect here on the name. We won more games than any team in the history of the program. I thought we did pretty good. So sometimes the coaches they're going to zig if you zag, and they're going to zag if you zig. Saban's good at this. Okay. Saban's real good at this. Every time people start saying that they're pretty good, he starts telling you how terrible they are. And every time people say, well, maybe they're not as good, he starts telling you, hey, he goes on television late at night and says, we lost 2 games on the last play of the game on the road with hostile crowds. We should really be in. So if she's taking her cues from that guy, I guess there's worse people to emulate. We'll take a break. LSU baseball with a very productive weekend against, not all that strenuous a competition. We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's with live ball crawfish every day, starting at 11 o'clock. And it's Monday, so if ball shrimp are a little bit more of what your preference is, it's all you can eat ball shrimp starting at 5 o'clock tonight all the way until close. Live music every weekend at Big Mike's. And, of course, if you want to have a little get-together, private get-together, there's multiple party rooms at Big Mike's, multiple rooms that they can rent out to you no matter what size your party is. Or if you want to have them cater your on-site party, they can do those things for you as well. Happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 until 7, but a special happy hour all day on Sunday starting at 11 a.m. So if you're watching wall-to-wall college basketball this weekend, you're watching the golf, you're watching NASCAR, do it at Big Mike's. With the Denham Springs Hall of Fame located in the facility, they are right in the heart of Denham Springs on Aspen. At Big Mike's, we're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our
Moscona inviting him to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap LSU's weekend series against Samford, and the madness begins. We'll start to preview the big dance. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU baseball moving to 15-1 with 3 wins over the weekend against Samford. All 3 games in the run ended in the run rule. They won by a combined total of 36-2. They're going to beat UNO tomorrow night, and they'll be 16-1 going into Southeastern Conference play, which Pulley Archive Mario was exactly the record that we predicted when the season started. One more time, and then I'll quit. I wish the schedule had been more challenging. But what did we take out of this bludgeoning of poor Samford over the weekend? The biggest, by far, development over the weekend to me was that Tommy White returned to third base on Sunday. Handled his chances that I saw in pretty good manner. And, we didn't know when White was going to come back and be able to play in the field. What this means is that now they don't have to sacrifice offense or defense by playing at third, and they don't have to use Tommy White as a DH. So they're going to be better at third both ways. They're going to be better offensively. They're going to be better defensively, and this frees up the DH spot for whoever. This gives Jay Johnson a lot of flexibility when it comes to where he plays Trey Morgan, where he plays Braden Jobert, where he plays Jared Jones, and anybody else that he wants to move into the lineup. So White going back to third, being able to handle a position. Hopefully we'll find out, today or so in the first day after the first game, where he threw that he feels great and he'll be able to move forward with doing that. Big weekend for Jared Jones. If you saw the home run he hit over the scoreboard, that's about as massive a shot. This guy has got major league power at a very young age. Now, he's still got to develop as a hitter. There's a long way to go, and I understand he's not out there facing Justin Verlander right now. But, man, when you see a guy hit a baseball that far, I tweeted that they probably found it under the bridge, which wouldn't have surprised me. They only had to use 6 pitchers over the weekend. Guidry got an out in one of the games. Basically, they used 6 pitchers, and they only committed 1 error in the 21 innings. That one to me is like free throw shooting, okay? It doesn't matter who you're playing. You can shoot free throws or not. You still got to, I don't care if it's Samford, Texas A&M, or the New York Yankees. You still got to pick the ball up and throw it to first. So they've done that at a pretty good rate. Jay Johnson asked if there's a downside to all of these run rule wins.
I know what we're going to do. Tell them not to score and not to throw shutouts. And I'm proud of the team. And it's something we can't control. Something I learned a long time ago in coaching is if you spend time worrying about things you can't control, then you're probably not doing a good job of the things that you can do to help make your team better. So, it is what it is.
Look, you're not gonna turn your nose up at 10-run wins. The only downside to it is that in these 8th and 9th innings where the game was decided, you might have gotten some younger pitchers in there to throw some innings. Maybe some of the guys on the bench getting another at bat here and there. So exactly what we talked about when the 10-run rule was put in is the upside to it is, hey, we can all go home when the score's 12-1. Got it. All right. No, nobody. And you're talking. You're listening to somebody right now who sat through his fair share of 16-2 ball games in the 8th and 9th inning. So the upside is everybody goes home, nobody gets hurt, and everybody's home a little bit earlier. The downside is that this takes away from the development of young kids who would not maybe be able to get in to a competitive game, but get into those 12-1 games in the 8th and 9th inning. It is a minor point at this point. The bigger story was getting Tommy White back at third, and Jay Johnson addressed that.
Well, the first thing it does is it helps us defensively because he's put a lot of work in and has become a really good third baseman. I mean, he had the one play today and made it look really easy. So that's the first thing. Secondly, it just adds more versatility, lineup flexibility, left-handed, right-handed. Maybe we can evaluate the pitching matchup a little bit better. Really proud of how the team responded to that injury and to Trey's injury. We didn't miss a beat, moving guys around, and we worked really hard on the defensive side of the ball. And everybody that's played and filled in has done a great job.
So what do we know about this group that we didn't know? I'm going to do this today because we're going to get knee-deep into basketball later in the week and may not have a chance to do this again before they start SEC play on Friday. But what do we know about this team that we didn't know when the season started? Or what have we confirmed that maybe we did know? Dylan Cruz was supposed to be one of the best players in America. He is. There were 2 freshmen that they were going to count on very heavily really 3 freshmen they were going to count on very heavily in the starting lineup: Paxton Kling, Jared Jones, and Brady Neal. The stage is not too big for any of them. They all have different levels of where they have progressed to this point, and they'll continue to evolve. They'll continue to get better, but the stage is not too big for any of them. We wanted to know if Gavin Dugas could change positions again, fight off the eye problems that had caused him to really have some problems. And could he, at least for a number of these games, go into the leadoff spot? Well, he's been fantastic in all of those facets. And I was really encouraged seeing him back in the lineup yesterday after missing Saturday. That eye irritation continues to give him problems, but he got over it pretty quickly. Was Tommy White going to be able to field a position at third? The little that we've seen suggests yes. And no, you're not going to get all of those games back that he missed in the field, but from what I've seen so far, he looks fine there. Were you going to be able to have some flexibility in this lineup? Yes, Trey Morgan gives you an awful lot of flexibility in this lineup. Do you have some promising young guys on the bench? Yeah, we haven't really even seen very much of Ethan Fry yet, and I think he's got a tremendous future. Throwing a little bit of a mini resurgence from Cade Beloso and Alex Milazzo coming back as a defensive replacement and even hitting a little bit in the short amount of at-bats that he's got. All of that is fantastic. Is there anything that you don't know about this offensive lineup? Yeah, they've seen probably 3, maybe 4 SEC quality pitchers. You know, the kid at Iowa, the kid at Texas, maybe 1 or 2 more. The rest of these arms are not guys that you would see at the Southeastern Conference level. So if there's a question about the offense, that's it. Pitching staff, what did you wonder about going in? Was Paul Skeens going to be able to hold down Friday night? Yes, no problems there. Was Ty Floyd going to be able to move into the rotation? Yes, the breaking ball is better. Was Thatcher Hurd going to be able to hold up? Was a back injury it was going to be a problem? It has not been. That's very good. Was Christian Little going to be able to settle into a role? No, but it's actually a good thing. He's shown that he can close. He's shown that he can start. He's shown that he can be a long reliever. They're going to have a tremendous amount of flexibility with him. Have they got multiple left-handers out of the bullpen in Nate Ackenhausen and Riley Cooper that they can use? Yes. And can they use those guys multiple times in a weekend? It would appear. Is Chase Shores going to be a weapon for them? Yes, but he's still got a long way to go. But he's 6'8" and he throws 100 miles an hour. So let's watch the development. Are they going to develop a 4th starter? My guess is he's going to be the guy moving forward, but they'll move him along slowly. I've made my comparisons. I think that he can be a good midweek guy for the time being, and he's already pitched on the weekends. So later in the season, you get into May, and this guy starts to, really starts to figure it out. Well, then you're going to have a really, really potent weapon there. Have they settled in on a closer? No, but I mean, it's not exactly like they've got 4 saves, but it's not like there's been a whole lot of saves. They haven't gone to the 9th with a whole bunch of 1-run leads. So you don't have that in stone right now, but you certainly got a lot of tantalizing options. Guys like Garrett Edwards has pitched really well. Even Blake Money, in the short amount of time that we've seen him, has thrown in some innings. So a lot of upside there. Anything that you don't know right now about the pitching staff? Again, how many games have you played against teams that would really be in the thick of things in the Southeastern Conference? Just a couple. So there's still that, but they look every bit the part of a championship club right now. What kind of start will they get off to in Southeastern Conference play? We'll see if the light schedule hurts them or if it helped them. So every possibility. Baseball is a game of confidence, and if they've gained an enormous amount of confidence against this schedule, then go get it. I would have liked to have seen a little bit tougher schedule, but Jay Johnson's building the team, and it's very hard to argue with the results so far. Going to be chilly in College Station this weekend, I understand it. So pretty much everything that could go right has gone right for LSU through the first 4 weeks of the regular season. And one more thing. If you're a baseball fan, you're not a baseball fan, you're a sports fan, you're not a sports fan, get out and see Dylan Cruz before he, moves on to his next stop in professional baseball next year. That way you'll be able to come back years from now and say, hey, you see that guy playing in the Major League All-Star game? You see that guy making hundreds of millions of dollars? You see that guy, multi-time All-Star? I saw him when he played at Alex Box Stadium. Take a break, come back, wrap things up, take some of your questions by you for chat. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Three locations, Millerville, Prairieville, and New Orleans on West End.
If you're tired of erosion and mud and want your lawn looking its best, winter is the easiest time to lay grass sod. Let Quality Sod help you select the perfect grass for your lawn. For winter sale prices, call 225-610-4842. That's 225-610-4842 or QualitySod.com.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
121-1674. Offices in Baton Rouge. Jimmy Ott's Game Time. Weeknights from 6 to 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Charles Hannigrove joined me and Jimmy Ott for Jimmy Ott's Game Time from Walk-Ons on Burbank. Monday evening, we'll have the brackets set for the NCAA tournament. Jimmy Ott's Game Time, 6 p.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannigrove on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We got some breaking news here with NFL free agency. It looks like former Saints defensive tackle Shy Tuttle has reached an agreement with the Panthers on a 3-year, $19 million deal that includes $13 million guaranteed. So Shy Tuttle now with the division rival. And according to Mike Garafolo, retweeted by Ian Rappaport, the Raiders are closing in on a deal with quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay. It's like the Saints defensive line is heading out the door. I almost hate the Tuttle signing more than the Onyemata signing. He's been a very highly productive and affordable player here. All right, let's go to the Bayou Ford check. You know, the Saints right now, this free agent frenzy that's about to go on over the next 5 or 6 hours for the Saints is like being in Vegas with no money. You know, you just got to watch everybody else. It's a miserable experience. You ever been in Vegas with no money? Happened to me once.
Yeah, not fun. Close.
No, it's not. Charlie, Johnny Jones has multiple NCAA tournament appearances. Why hasn't he gotten another D1 job? I would tell you that when a mid-major coach moves up and gets a power conference job and it doesn't succeed, he's got a hard time getting another one. That's the short version of this. Ask Hanny, on paper, this particular Tiger squad can win 50 games. How many actual W's do you see for them? My deal is always, if you can win 2/3 of your games in the Southeastern Conference, you got an excellent team. You got a good enough team to win the national championship. So if they were to finish 20-10 in the league or 21-9, something like that, and they've done better than that in the past, but that's a very reasonable. The league is tough, man. And the league is really, really tough. There was another one I wanted. Ask Kenny, will Purdue, Houston, Bama, and Kansas make it to the Sweet 16? I can parlay all four. I wouldn't. 6 of the 8 and 9 seeds are power conference teams capable of beating any of those number 1 seeds on the right day. And the one number 1 seed that doesn't have a power conference team on the other side is the one I think that's most ripe for an upset, and that's Purdue. They got to play Memphis in the second round. I just watched Memphis throttle Houston yesterday. They can beat Purdue. And Purdue has had a bad habit of letting teams they won most of their games. But, boy, just like Purdue yesterday against Penn State, they let Penn State back in that thing. They won a lot of close games, No, I would not make that bet. Hunt Palmer is next. Thanks to everybody for participating. This has been Handy Time, 104.5 ESPN Bet.